Hello everybody and welcome back to my channel. Today's video I am going to be doing the first of 7 mini short Halloween stories. The first one for today is called Too Many Ghosts by Steve Rasnick Tim Rasnictem. So without further ado, let's get started. He paid more attention to the knife in the face he brought forth from the wood than to his left hand trembling as he gripped the cottonwood branch. The blade went into the side of his thumb smoothly, and if there had been wood, he would immediately realized he had chosen his materials poorly, because wood that soft wouldn't hold the intricate detail he required. Hector watched as his blood filled the valleys of the bark, reddening the hollows of the unfinished base. An exaggerated expression of anger that dripped onto the porch's worn boards. He laid the knife and the branch down carefully on a small table of tools and materials. Then he said, "Damn it," once, and evenly, and attempted to close the wound with his other hand. He wondered again if he might be too old, or at least too infirm, to carve anymore. But carving was all he ever wanted to do. It might be all he could do. He hadn't the stamina to farm anymore, or the heart to sit in an office staring at a screen. If he still had a wife, he might feel differently. There might be other things he could do in the world, but he no longer had a wife. So this was how he filled his time. "Here, Dad." Lucina had dangled a roll of gauze and tape in front of him. She always kept some handy. "Can I help you?" He grabbed the gauze, wrapping his thumb with swift turns of his other hand. "I'll manage, thanks." She went back into the kitchen and called, "Are you sure you can handle the cherry potatoes tonight? You can still come with us. We could put a candy bucket out where the sign tells you to take no more than 2. Please tell me you're joking." He tied the ends of the gauze with a flutter of his fingers. His wife had to call the maneuver his butterfly. She had loved his butterfly. The candy wouldn't last 5 minutes. And parents would be coming by tomorrow to complain about their children's belly aches. His daughter always tried to lure him back into the church, but Hector would not be lured. Well, at least help the boys carve their pumpkin. They love the similar things you come up with. He picked up the branch again and stared at it. The old man in the cottonwood stared back. Hector thought he recognized the face from when he was a boy. The eyes in the wood shifted with one capture. Hector couldn't be sure. "I don't carve visuals, honey, huh?" "Pumpkin is a fruit, Papa." "I don't carve those either." He heard her move back into the dining room. She fussed at the boys. Apparently they were still staring at the pumpkin and had not even lifted their puny blades with colorful plastic handles. Very safe, but impossible to use with any skill. She did not understand. You could not carve the face until you first saw the face in your material. The boys had watched and do this hundreds of times, and they were copying him, although they didn't have his knowledge, and they were getting into trouble for it. They would be late for the church Halloween party, she told them. His daughter took the boys to church every Halloween for the sake of candy. Hector knew of no child who had ever been poisoned, or who had bitten into a razor blade or a pen. But his daughter always imagined the worst. Now she was angry. The boys would not get their Halloween, and one of them began to cry. Hector didn't know which one. They both sounded the same to him. This was not his responsibility. He picked up the branch again. He looked for the old one's eyes, but he still couldn't find them. Perhaps the old man was sleeping, or hiding. Hector put his knife point where the left ear should be, but he didn't know how to carve it until he could see the eyes, a sharp pain in the web of his right hand. He turned the branch over quickly, and thought he saw tiny teeth receding into the carved mouth. There was a bite mark in the skin. Was it a splinter? He pushed his thumb into the mouth, but the lips did not move. He sighed and continued to ponder what he had made. The face in the wood looked disturbingly familiar. The invisible eyes, and the way the hair flowed with grain. But he could not connect the visage with the name. He would decide later if he would take this carving to the KaraPop show the next day, or stick it with the others in the field. Both his mistakes and his finest works were out in the field. The distant explosion was too far away to cause any vibration, but he jarred the branch anyway. A piece of beard snapped off the corner of one ear, and this one was for the field. Hector was okay with it, and this one's destination seemed inevitable. He soon appeared in the doorway again. I thought they weren't working today. They work every day, Hector replied. It's a big mountain, and they have lots to blow up. These are holy days, said they have no respect for the dead. Perhaps the dead want the mountain gone as well. And once they open the road, the dead may find some more interesting place to go. Papa, that's blasphemous. I don't intend to be. I know nothing of what the dead want. I can only make guesses. She left again. He heard her fussing and his grandsons again. How she would cancel home completely if they didn't get a move on. They lived at the high end of the valley, before the gap. But the gap had been closed since Hector was little. The road there was buried under landslide after landslide. Nothing could get through, and so people rarely came this way anymore, except the occasional salesman and the children for their annual Halloween treats. Once the mountain was removed from the road, life would change, Hector was sure, but he could not imagine the details, and climbed slowly to his feet. Where's his pumpkin carved? Hector stood in the doorway, his knife ready. Of course, he could see the pumpkin had sat in the middle of the dining table, long outside asleep. His twin grandsons stared up at him in amazement. Hector stepped forward, reached in, and slipped his palm under the pumpkin, drawing it up and cradling it in the crook of his arm. As her face began to appear to him, he began his cuts, highlighting and recessing planes in imagined bone and muscle. Those wisps of hair, the stretch of the lips, the laughter gone except for some intangible amusement trapped in the corners. Her eyes opened and followed the graceful movements of his hand. And there were folds of skin across her cheekbones, but they were tidy and soft, and well earned. He remembered every line, where they held fast and where they moved. He hated the material. It was far too soft. It would not hold its shape or its health for long. It would sag, and it would rot, and it would run. He held his work aloft, now fully realizing what he had made. "Papa?" Lucina gasped. "Little? Is that Grandma?" One of the boys asked. Hector didn't know which one. He could tell a little apart, perhaps every other Tuesday. "Your grandmother is dead," he answered them, and carried her head from the room. After his family left for the church, Hector rushed to prepare for the trick-or-treaters. He was afraid he waited too long. The sun was setting, and he still needed to get some lights out so that the children could find their way through the field to the porch. Another explosion, and this one accompanied by a rain of dust and pebbles from the sky that rattled the house's rusted tin roof. This had to be the last one. Soon there wouldn't be enough light to continue. A dark cloud, oddly streaked with red, had settled over the mountain. "And there are too many ghosts here. The dead can't find their way out." And had been Hector's father's constant complaint. Some of the old-timers believed the path to heaven led through the gap. Once the gap was closed and the dead didn't know which way to go, they were trapped, both the living and the dead together. But Hector always thought that what really haunted his father was that he made such a bad deal buying this place. The land was poor, and the slides had cut off not just the road, but their only source for water. He ran 2 dusty strings of Christmas lights on either side of the porch steps and through the field, making the hollow outline of a path, which he embellished here and there with luminaria. As the sun slipped behind the serrated mountain ridges, the field became vague and ethereal, with a random scattering of stunted, twisted cottonwoods protruding from the white sand. Some branches like desperate arms reaching for the yellowed moon. Here and there he planted his carvings among them, as the tiny lights blinked in indistinct faces and paled as their bodies floated momentarily out of the bark. The cottonwoods were rough and dark, and yet perfect for the art he felt compelled to make. He used up the branches one at a time. When the trees finally fell completely, he carved roots. If he lived long enough, he would have no more materials to work with. Everything was so dry, even the slightest breeze picked up dust and grit, making it difficult to see. All along the horizon, the shadows multiplied. The wind came up with a sudden fierceness, and Hector turned his face away. For a moment it felt as if all the ground would rise and fill the air, hoping it would die down before any children arrived. He walked back into the house to prepare their treats, one hand over his mouth. Great stretches of landscape appeared to blow past him, and several of the old trees looked out of place, but this had become a frequent illusion during these late afternoon winds. The stinging impact of windblown debris, the sense of mysterious movement around him, and the fact that he had to contend with all of this alone angered him. He split his store of candy into numerous small paper bags, a different pair written on the back of each, just as his wife used to do. Not that he believed in such things, but it would have pleased her to know he'd continue her tradition. His sat by a front window listening for the old pickups that would bring the children in their costumes, and their swollen heads and the strangely broken bodies. Loaded pillowcases hung awkwardly between their legs as they struggled up his front steps. He would then take his wife's whole old roll, eating them, half feigning amazement at their homemade costumes, and always saying something nice to the little ones to comfort them on the scary night. The scratch at the window startled him, a broken bit of branch clawing its way across the glass. Out in the field, he could see the thinner, caught-on branches snapping, spinning into the wind like amputated fingers. An explosion sounded somewhere nearby, so close he thought it was the house itself, about to come down around him. Surely they weren't working on the mountains in this light. Then he saw the lightning flashes and realized it was thunder. He wondered whether it would keep the children away. Hector had found his wife in a small church down in the mouth of the valley over 50 years ago. Courted her for less than 2 months, eventually bringing her here where they raised a child and built a life. Then he had to watch her shrink and twist like the cottonwoods, hopeless for water. Still, she dragged him stubbornly back to that church for every ceremony and obligation. But no more. The wind had died down a bit, but out in the field, sand was still stirring, a languid, scribbling movement that spread upward and into the dark. It snowed rarely here, but when it did, it was like this, the air full of a fine white powder had that coated the black trees, flipping the world temporarily into its negative. Hector could see dark masses within the spectral light, individual outlines moving towards his house. The dark twists and verticals of trunks began to peek through. Shapes stumbling awkwardly through the damaged trees. He started to get up, wondering if he had a good place to hide, and a dozen or more children suddenly appeared, in drop-in costumes and masks turned sideways across dusty faces, and dragging their sagging drink bags between the rows of lights and up his splintered steps. Hector got up early the next morning to clean up the field. The Xenon boys weren't up yet. They had gotten home late from the church because of the storm. The boys had been subdued. The Xenon said the storm had scarred them, although they refused to admit it. He gathered up several armfuls of broken cottonwood branches, stacking them for later use. Surprisingly, all his carvings appeared to be more or less intact after the storm, although some leaned precariously over, and others had hairline cracks, giving new emphasis to either age or suffering. He pulled one of these out of the ground and cradled it in his arms. The vase in the wood looked gray, asleep. And had he really carved the hair that way? He searched for some fissure in the scalp, but couldn't find one. The hair looked misshapen, pulled. The face appeared to open its eyes and look at Hector. But the sun was rising higher behind him, pushing the shadows. He jammed the carving back into the ground and turned away. Once back inside the house, he began choosing the carvings he would take to the show. He could hear Lucina talking to the boys in the next room. Mother Lupita, as she would go begging in the street to collect money for a hospital, but asking no more than that was necessary. You see, she never felt above doing whatever the poor have to do. That is why They've made her saints, and you boys, you complain about the breakfast I cook? Think about it. Starner was in Rachel's mood. He hurried to get out of there before she saw him, but almost immediately she pushed through the door. I can't believe you're not going with us today. It's the day of publication, Papa. What kind of Catholic are you? He didn't look at her, but focused on selecting pieces. He always brought too many old men, and when it was lovely ladies with the roses in their hair, was all the best. A poor one, certainly, with 2 hungry grandsons to feed. And I am happy to do so. Make no mistake. Why do we need to pray for the saints anyway? We're the ones who need the prayers. Papa, that's blasphemy. Mama will be so ashamed. You have no idea what your mother would say. You weren't there to see her suffer. She just so wanted an end to her agony. And what comfort did the priest have to offer her? You must bear it. And that's what he said. Oh, and her reward is coming. You must be brave, he told her. As if she weren't already the bravest person I ever knew. I know she was brave, Papa. I know she wanted to die, but only God decides when. Hector stared at her. She didn't want to die, he said. She didn't want him to live in such pain. And in the end, she cursed me, and she cursed herself, and she cursed God for that. And that's why I'm not going with you today. She was crying. I'll pray for my mama tomorrow, she said. I hope when it is all souls. I'll pray that God lets her out of purgatory. Unable to look his daughter in the eyes anymore, Hector turned his back and began getting the rest of his carvings together. He could tell how weary of him they were, how fearful that he might chip important details, but he grabbed them anyway, clutching them too firmly. He grabbed them, took them out to his truck, and threw them in. And Lazaro was seen as standing there behind him the whole time, but he did not turn around. He had been too harsh with her, he knew, but it was too late now. So, I'm going to stop there with that 2-minute ghost story from Steve Rosnick Tim. I will leave a link to the story in the description below. If you had enjoyed this mini-series of short and spooky, that name will change, probably. Leave a like, a comment, share, and subscribe, and I'll see you all in the next one. Goodbye.